Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and I'm going to share with you some of the thick bigots I've been having to put up with over the last week on Twitter, as Space Karen has massively ramped up the propaganda in the wake, really, of the publication of Trump's national security strategy. I mean, Twitter has been amplifying far-right talking points for a while now, and throttling counterpoints as well. For all Elon Musk's talk of Twitter being this like free space, it absolutely is not. But I still use the platform specifically because I want to know what they're saying, right? I want to know what these talking points are. And I usually get a smattering of them during the day, but my feed has generally been a mixture of that type of content and the experts I follow on Twitter who still post there. I mean, that's the original reason I use Twitter. It's a really good place to follow experts and get, quick information. And it's still an important reason. But ever since the White House launched its national security strategy, my feed has pretty much been wall-to-wall bigotry. And the amplification has been ramped up. And because I think it's linked to this national security strategy, I don't think it's going to calm down. So I thought I'd share some of what I've seen them saying. Every one of these posts I'm going to go over, there's been noticeable amplification of the same message within it. I've seen it coming up time and time again, really plastering my feed. It covers a range of the talking points that Elon Musk is now desperate to push. And I shudder to think what it's going to be like come the next election campaign. So if we look at the first one, this is good old-fashioned racism, this one. I like this one. So it's thumbs up if you agree. So what we're supposed to agree with. So there's an image there of a lion in front of, we'll look at that in a minute what it's in front of. And it says, make England English again. Now there's three things with this. Let's start with a couple of minor points here. First of all, do you know what's not English? A lion. Secondly, so it says, make England English again. And there's a map behind this lion. Is the map of England? No, it's not a map of England. It's a map, it's a map of, at the very least, Britain. It looks like it might be Britain and Ireland. The lion's sort of in the way, but underneath the belly of Ireland, of the lion, sorry. I'm not thinking that's Cornwall, unless it's a really weird map. Maybe AI sort of understood what the east coast of Britain looks like and then went completely to pot on the west. Who knows? But at the very least, it's clearly got bits of Wales and Scotland in there. But those are minor points. Do you know what? Those are minor points. The biggest point is this. So make England English again. Now, what's that supposed to mean? We're clearly supposed to infer from that it means no immigration. England only for the English, right? No immigration. But apart from that, I usually in this sort of situation say, look, England has been immigrated for many centuries, actually millennia. We're a huge melting pot and we always have been. There's always been a lot of migration into England, right? But specifically when you say something like make England English again, it's like, do you know what the word England means? People actually know where the word England comes from. It's obviously like a lot of things that ancient words has contracted over time. It meant land of the Angles, right? Now, who were the Angles? Were they the first people who settled in England? No. They were Germans. Long time ago, large groups of Germans immigrated into England. So many, in fact, and so well did they do, that England became known as the land of the Engels. That's who they were, German tribes. England literally means land of the foreigners, land of the people who came from over there. Absolutely thick as mince, these people. Thick as mince. Then the next one. So, the main caption from Politics UK, who are, by the way, a little bit biased. So it says, pictured Green leader Zach Polanski in Calais to refill water tanks for those wishing to cross to the UK. He says he would allow them to enter the UK legally and give them the right to work as they arrive. Okay. This fella says Zach Polanski should be arrested on his return to Britain. It says So then you say, so arrested for what? What's the charge, right? The Green Party leader was in Calais refilling water for migrants planning illegal channel crossings. That's not compassion, it's facilitating illegal entry. I think you might need to read your Bible, son. It actually is classed as compassion. It says borders matters, no excuses. Yeah, sure, borders do matter. But it's not illegal entry either, because, of course, the Refugee Convention holds that if you are seeking asylum, I mean, if they're coming across for other purposes, then yeah, it's illegal. But if they're coming across for the purposes of asylum, seeking asylum, it's not illegal. And the reason the crossing is our fault for not allowing them to claim asylum at a British processing centre in northern France, right? But never mind that. I mean, it doesn't matter what people think about the boat crossings. Zach Polanski should be arrested on his return to Britain. What's the charge? Filling water bottles. Is that illegal? And also, when they say arrested on his return to Britain, why not arrested in France? I mean, if he's committing a criminal act in France, it's not clear what the criminal act is, by the way. Is it illegal in French law to fill water bottles for people? I don't know. I'm not an expert on French law. But surely that would be for the French to decide whether they're happy with that or not. But what about British law? How does British law affect what someone does in France? I mean, where's French sovereignty here? I thought these people were all about sovereignty, right? Where's French sovereignty? Why would we arrest someone for doing something in another country? It's got nothing to do with us. Would he be happy if French people arrested people who travel from Britain to France for something they did in Britain? Would they be happy about that? Again, I mean, do these people ever think anything through? And I sometimes think to myself when I read things like this, are these people thick? Or, I mean, the blue tick is usually a bit of an indicator these days, right? Are these people thick? Or do they just think their followers are thick? Do they know what they're doing and they just think their followers are as thick as mint? Next one, EU one. This has been pushed. This has been pushed ever since that national security strategy. Abolish the EU and stuff like that. So the main thing here, in there, the inner one, can we all agree that EU needs to be abolished? No. All they ever do is try to censor everyone and constantly try to start World War III. I mean, literally, if you're talking about, first of all, the EU, don't really do anything in terms of, they don't have a military. They don't have a military. EU members tend to be members of NATO. Not all, by the way. Not even all EU members are members of NATO. NATO is the military organisation, right? And NATO has had every excuse to engage Russia directly, right? In the interests of North Atlantic security, Russia having attacked Ukraine, we could absolutely say to Ukraine, do you know what? We're going to join you in battle and repel this invader. Just like we did with Kuwait. When Iraq invaded Kuwait, we said, this isn't right. We're going to join Kuwait in battle and kick the invaders out. We could have done that in our own continent, no problem. Perfectly legal in international law if we decide to do that. We haven't. We haven't. So the idea that we're the ones trying to start World War III. We've got Russia to the east of us, clearly trying to start war. We've got America to the west of us, who are also trying to start war. I don't think the EU is. But also, it's run by people that are unelected. No, there's no one running that's unelected. Absolutely no one. There are people who run the British government who are unelected. The British cabinet has people who are unelected. There are ministers who are members of the House of Lords. They're not elected, right? The US government has people running it who are not elected. Secretaries of State are not. No secretary. I mean, in our country, most secretaries of state are actually elected in British politics. You sometimes get the odd one, like when David Frost under Boris Johnson ran the sort of Brexit department, the department for leaving the EU. But mostly secretaries of state are elected in this country, but not in America. They're almost never elected in America. But we don't have a problem with those governments. Whereas the EU have no one in the EU Council, no one in the EU Commission, no one in the EU Parliament that's not elected. But anyway, the one at the top, the one that drew my attention to it. Who wants the EU to break up so sovereignty is returned to each of its member countries? I'll tell you who wants that. Russia wants that. That's who wants that. Let's try and put the shoe on the other foot here. Let's put the shoe on the other foot. Let's look at the United States of America, because the United States of America, it's sort of like the EU because it's a confederacy of lots of different states, but there's a federal infrastructure that doesn't exist in the EU, right? So Trump, for example, is sending troops into individual states, even though those states don't want them, right? So he's abusing their sovereignty because they have no sovereignty. The United States has this federal infrastructure. What if we were to say that the United States should break up, that each state should become its own country, and it should form a loose political and economic relation of the type European countries do with the EU? Would people be in favour of that? I think some people would be in favour of that. Why would these people not be in favour of that? Because that would weaken America. That would weaken America. If you break the bonds between different countries who are working on common purpose, you weaken the collective, because a lot of countries individually cannot be as strong as a lot of countries bound together in a union, right? So that's who wants the EU to break up. People who want Europe to be weak. That's who wanted the UK to leave the EU. People who wanted the UK to be weak and Europe to be weaker. Russia top of the list. Next one, Elon Musk. Too easy. If you have a womb, you're a woman. This is good news. All of this fuss about puberty blockers and whether they're safe or not, despite the fact apparently there's no question about them being safe for cis kids. Oh, wonderful. Elon Musk has got the answer. No problem at all. If you have a womb, you're a woman. Otherwise, you are not. So Musk, I assume he means, because he's a two-gender type person, that must mean you're a man. Brilliant. Never mind the puberty blockers. Just if you're born a girl and you're a trans man, just have a hysterectomy. Problem solved. Instant trans man. Instant, you're a man, apparently, if you have a hysterectomy. Easy. We should get him on more often. And then the final one, and I couldn't leave this one. This has been pushed a lot as well, but this is more in the last day rather than the last. Some of the others have you keep coming up over the last week. This one. So Bridget Phillipson quoted there, talking about the need for teaching assistants, nurses, shop workers, delivery drivers, the people who drive growth. So this person has a pop at nurses. They say, well, nurses do many critical things and are immensely valuable, but they have nothing to do with growth. And they even go on to say, with a government that doesn't understand growth, we have no prospect of seeing it. I will just point out a couple of things, mate. First of all, we've had nothing but growth since Labour have been in power. Every quarter, we have had economic growth. It's now the longest sustained period of economic growth that we have had for years. We didn't have a period of growth this long during the whole of the last parliament. Right? But in terms of nurses not providing growth, well, this is interesting. This guy reckons he runs a business, right? So he reckons that a worker that's injured or ill doesn't have their productivity impacted. So if you're injured or ill, you can work at full productivity. Is that true? Is that right? This guy reckons he understands growth. Nurses got nothing to do with growth. Therefore, being healed from an illness or an injury doesn't affect the economy? Really? So if we had a much less healthy population, that wouldn't negatively impact growth. If we had a much healthier and fitter workforce, that wouldn't benefit economic growth. And this person has the nerve to suggest the government don't understand growth. This man reckons he runs a business. Do you know what I reckon? I don't know him. Do you know what I reckon? I reckon other people run his business for him and he just had the capital to invest in it. That's what I reckon. But there it is anyway. I mean, the absolute nonsense. And this is the stuff that is being amplified because, like I say, I've been on Twitter for years now, and I've been on Twitter since Musk has been amplifying loads of things. And yet my feed has always been a nice balance. And now it's not. And it's in the last week. It's in the last week and a bit now, week and a few days, that it's been noticeably like this, pushing certain things, amplifying certain things, certain points. You expect if you respond to one of these points, and occasionally I do, you're going to get a bit more of it in your feed because it thinks you're interested. That makes sense. But some of this stuff I've not engaged with at all, because what's the point? And you just think, why am I getting it over and over and over and over again? Because it's been amplified. The Twitter algorithm understands what the posts are about. It matches it to, oh, these are the points that Space Karen wants me to push, and it's doing it. And again, I worry what it's going to be like when there's a concerted effort to rig elections in Europe. And, you know, I worry about the UK election in a few years' time. But we've got the Hungarian elections next year. We've got the French elections the year after. It's worrying times, and it's not really all that obvious what the UK government even can do, other than shut Twitter off in this country, which could well backfire. But there it is anyway. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. And until next time, I'll see you later.